My name is Dieta Green, and this is my review of the first section of media law. In the first section of media law, we focused on the First Amendment. To understand why the First Amendment is important, we must first understand what is the First Amendment. The First Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is the collective name for the first 10 amendments of the Constitution, written by James Madison, ratified December 15, 1791. The 10 amendments on the Bill of Rights are also known as our unalienable rights, which means these rights cannot be taken away or denied from us. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. In the First Amendment, our 5 freedoms are granted. There are many cases that shaped our understanding of the First Amendment. The first case that I'm going to talk about is Schneck versus the United States. Charles T. Schneck was part of the Socialist Party, which opposed the implementation of a military draft. Charles T. Schneck distributed 15,000 leaflets that said to resist military service. He was later arrested for violating the Espionage Act and convicted on 3 counts and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The Espionage Act was passed in June 1917 after U.S. entry into World War I. The act prohibited any disloyal, profane, or abusive language about the form of the United States. When he went in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, he said that his First Amendment right had been violated. The court ruled on March 3, 1919, that the freedom of speech could be restricted if clear and present danger were represented. They felt as though it was clear and present danger because the United States was going to war, and if he had got people not to enlist, then he could put the United States in danger. The next case that I'm going to talk about is Tinker versus Des Moines. The case began in 1965 when Mary Beth Tinker, Christopher Eckridge, and John Tinker, all students from Iowa, wore black armbands in protest of the Vietnam War. The students went through many courts. They went through the circuit courts and the courts of appeal in Iowa, and they all ruled that the black armbands were inappropriate for school. The students felt like they were entitled to express themselves, so they continued to appeal all of the court's decision until they made it to the Supreme Court. When they got to the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the students, claiming that the protest did not spark violence, destruction, damage, or any criminal activity. And that the students were peacefully protesting, so the students were allowed to go back to school. This verdict resulted in a law being created that gave power to the school systems for what was allowed and what wasn't allowed, and the law is known as the Tinker Test.